Okay, let's dive right into this explainer. We're looking at an absolutely epic tale. I mean, we are talking about the universe's ultimate battle between divine order and just absolute terrifying chaos. It's one of those sweeping, ancient narratives where the very fabric of reality gets torn apart by a single, unstoppable force.
To really grasp the stakes here, we kind of have to thrust you right into the present-day terror. The sage Vishwamitra goes to King Dasharatha with a seriously chilling problem. He describes a world where the sacred order has been entirely flipped upside down. Vishwamitra is out there performing these solitary, flawless sacrifices in the forest. No rapses, absolutely perfect. But right at the climax of his holy rites, he hears the heavy tread of countless invisible feet up in the air above him, and flesh and gore literally rain down onto his altar. His water jars shatter without anyone touching them, his sacred fires are snuffed out. This isn't just someone messing with him. It's a fundamental, terrifying breakdown of divine protection.
Section 1. The Fading of Dharma. So how did we actually get here? Let's take a look at how the universe's quiet balance started to fracture in the first place. Well, Vishwamitra explains that the world has entered its second age. Basically, a quarter part of virtue has just died. Back in the first age, it was this time of pure harmony. Food literally grew right out of the earth just by wishing for it. There was no weeping, no cruelty, and mankind honored a single, unified divine presence. But now, we're in what they call the fated days. Dharma, the cosmic law of righteousness, is in a really steep decline. It all started with the very first slaughter of an innocent animal, and now the world is just consumed by deceitful sorcery, trickery, fraud, and lies. It's an age of scene shifting and contrivance, which makes it perfectly right for cunning, chaotic entities to rise up. Section 2. Origins of the Demons. To really understand this rising threat, we need to dig into the ancient origins of these night wanderers, the Rakshasas. Let's do a rapid speedrun of their history. At the very dawn of time, Brahma created the waters and made guardians to protect them. The ones who stepped up and said, "We will protect it," became the very first Rakshasas. Later on, a newborn Rakshasa named Sukesa was abandoned on a hillside. But the great Lord Shiva heard his cries, rescued him, and actually granted his race the power of flight. Talk about a massive upgrade. Sukesa's sons then went to the heavenly architect Viswakarman, who built them a majestic golden fortress right on Earth. Beautiful Lanka. But as you might guess, things went south. The demons grew incredibly cruel, eating hermits and men. Their reign of terror only stopped when the dark blue god Narayana, riding the brilliant sunbird Garuda, unleashed this blinding rain of arrows. He totally purged the demons and forced the survivors to flee deep, deep underground into the Naga kingdoms. So for ages, Lanka just sat there, empty. But the demons, they were biding their time in exile. Through a highly strategic marriage between the demoness Kaikasi and the sage Vishrava, the Rakshasa bloodline was reborn on Earth. And their firstborn? That was Ravana. He was the ultimate, terrifying physical manifestation of chaos. Born with 10 hideous heads, 20 arms, and skin blacker than soot. The source text gives us this insanely vivid, creepy imagery. The exact moment Ravana was born, every dog in the entire world went completely mad. They were howling as loud as they could, chasing their tails in counterclockwise circles. It's like the universe instantly recognized this catastrophic disruption. Section 3. Ravana's Dark Boons. Now, this is where things get wild, because Ravana is about to completely break the fundamental rules of the universe to secure his power. You see, Ravana doesn't just rely on his terrifying physical form. He actually hacks the cosmos' own system of merit. He and his brothers head up to the mountain forests and contemplate the immensity of life for 10,000 years. And, get this, at the end of every 1,000 years, Ravana literally chops off one of his own heads and sacrifices it to the sacred fire. Talk about commitment. On the final day, just as he's about to slice off his 10th and final head, Brahma the creator appears. He's horrified by the sheer brutal willpower of the demon. So Brahma grants him a dark boon. Ravana asks to be unslayable and undefeated by any god, devil, serpent, or demon, and he gets it. Absolute invincibility against all the higher and lower cosmic powers. But let's take a quick second to contrast Ravana's terrifying power with the boons of his brothers, because the irony here is just fantastic. His brother Vibhishana asks for something noble, immortality, purely so he'll never forget Dharma, whether he's in peril or pleasure. But then there's the giant brother Kumbhakarna. Brahma knows this guy is already eating saints without any special powers, so the gods literally have to intervene. The wind whispers to Brahma, and the goddess of speech briefly hijacks the giant's throat. So instead of asking for ultimate power, Kumbhakarna accidentally asks to sleep for half the year. It's a brilliant, hilarious cosmic balancing act. But unfortunately for the universe, Ravana is still wide awake. Section 4. Conquering the Cosmic Order. The absolutely crucial point here is how Ravana, now utterly invincible, systematically ramps up his conquests against the very pillars of reality. He starts by violently kicking out his own half-brother, the Treasure Lord, who is just peacefully hanging out in Lanka. Ravana reclaims the Golden City and brutally seizes Pushpaka. Now, Pushpaka is a colossal, mind-driven flying chariot. It's big enough to be a small city itself, and it's entirely covered in flowers. With his endless wealth and unmatched mobility secured, Ravana basically becomes an unstoppable airborne terror. As Ravana is flying around the earth, conquering kings left and right, he runs into the heavenly sage Narada. And this creates a moment of massive dramatic irony. Narada actually goads Ravana. He tells the demon that human men are just made of straw, worthless, frail, and already destined to die anyway. He's like, look, if you want a real challenge, don't bother with mortals. Go conquer Yama, the god of death himself. Narada dismisses humans entirely, which, as you'll soon see, sets up a massive blind spot for Ravana. Totally taking the bait, Ravana sets out on a rapid-fire, terrifying subjugation of the entire universe. He dives into hell, squaring up against Kala, time itself, and Yama, the death god. But Yama realizes he isn't permitted by the cosmos to kill Ravana yet, so he just vanishes, leaving Ravana victorious by default. Then Ravana plunges into the underworld, and Vasuki, the king of serpents, realizes resistance is totally futile against this level of invincibility. Ravana flies that massive chariot up to the sun, and the blistering gatekeeper yields immediately. He flies to the freezing desolation of the moon, and a star spirit practically begs him to just leave them in peace. It is total, absolute cosmic surrender. Section 5. The Fall of Heaven. Let's see how all of this builds to the absolute climax, the outright, unbelievable assault on Indra's celestial city, Amaravati. The battle lines are drawn. On one side, you've got the defenders of order. Indra, the king of heaven, armed with diamond thunderbolts, his massive white four-tusked elephant Airavata, and the fierce storm gods. On the flip side, you have the agents of chaos, Ravana himself, this vicious old Rakshasa named Sumali, and Ravana's son, Meghanada, who wields the terrifying power of black illusions. The ensuing battle is just brutal. I mean, the actual walls of heaven fall. Indra's forces crash into the demons like a tidal wave, and Indra's elephant severely wounds Ravana. Just as the gods think they might actually pull off a win, Ravana's son Meghanada unleashes his dark magic. He casts this blinding black darkness over the entire battlefield. In the utter panicking confusion, Meghanada miraculously captures Indra himself. The actual king of heaven is dragged all the way back to Lanka in chains and thrown into a dungeon. Chaos officially reigns supreme. It gets so bad that Brahma himself has to personally negotiate Indra's release, granting Meghanada the new title Indrajit, the conqueror of Indra. Heaven has completely fallen. Section 6. The Mortal Loophole. Which brings us right back to the sage Vishwamitra, in the fading present day, standing before King Dasaratha and the singular, tiny loophole in Ravana's armor. This poses the ultimate question, doesn't it? Who on earth, or in heaven, can defeat the unslayable? Ravana has Brahma's absolute ironclad guarantee of invincibility against gods, demons, and serpents. But remember what the sage Narada told Ravana? Men are made of straw. In his massive arrogance, Ravana never bothered to ask Brahma for protection against mere mortal men. He considered them totally, laughably insignificant. And that right there is why Vishwamitra is so incredibly desperate. The gods cannot intervene directly anymore. Their weapons and thunderbolts have already failed miserably. Vishwamitra looks at King Dasaratha and says, I must have a warrior. I need Rama to kill them. He's demanding the king's firstborn son, a boy who still wears his hair in a child's side locks, a kid who is literally 16 years old. Think about that for a second. It is a stunning, agonizing plea. Vishwamitra is asking a father to hand over a tender child to face a cosmic horror that physically tore the gates off heaven. So I'll leave you with this final provocative thought. Can a mortal boy, armed with nothing but a bow and human vulnerability, possibly stand against an invincible demon who forced the sun, the moon, and death itself to surrender? How can the absolute frailty of straw counter the pinnacle of cosmic chaos? It's the ultimate underdog story, and it's going to change the universe forever. Until next time, keep exploring the story behind the story.